listening to Unpause Your Life with Dr. Cali Estes and Master Coach Jenny Fontana, founders of the Life Coach Method. Each one of our uplifting and deep dive episodes is geared to help you tackle the things that hold you back from having the most magnificent life you deserve. Sit back, relax, and prepare to be coached.
We are going to talk today about manifesting abundance, a topic near and dear to my heart because I have created every company and pretty much every area of my life with manifestation of abundance. So, Miss Jenny Fontana, what does manifesting abundance mean to you?
I would say in simplest terms, it is deciding or having an idea of wanting something and bringing more of that in. What it is you're looking for, what it is you want, and having enough of that. Whatever that is.
So this is a topic I get asked a lot when I do on-air podcasts, presentations, etc. And it divides the community. So we're not going to talk religion. We're going to talk spirituality, right? So I've always believed that we are connected to something. Whatever that is, we're not going to debate because everybody's something is different. However, I believe we have access to infinite abundance if you know how to tap into that thing. The first thing that you just mentioned is knowing what you want. And that's the first step in the process. But most people don't know what they want, right? We say things like, oh, it would be nice if I had a mansion and $1 million. But we never say, I want a mansion and $1 million. We say, oh, it would be nice if, right? So we never really say what we want. Or we say, I want $50 million. I want 12 cars and whatnot. It's the opposite end of the spectrum, right? You don't need 12 cars. You need one car to get to and from where you're going, but we never start small. We either pick something that's so astronomically out of proportion or we wish for it. Does that make sense?
Yes. Basically deciding already that you're not really going to have it, but it sounds like it'd be great in theory.
Correct. So we either give the universe I don't know what I want, I kind of want something message, or we pick something that's just so extreme, like you're a barista at Starbucks, right? You make 25 grand a year, 30 grand a year, whatever they make, and all of a sudden you want a $30 million house and 12 cars. That's not even possible. So you've already set yourself up for failure and basically said to the universe, well, this is unattainable, so I'm just going to make a mockery of it, right? So when we're looking at what we want, it has to be clear and concise, but it also has to be within what you can do. Now, that doesn't mean you can't reach for the stars, but you have to have an action plan that coincides with your message. So that's the first step in abundance, is knowing what you want, getting clear on what you want. And I'm going to give you an example. You remember when I met my husband, don't you? Back in 2008?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so before I met my husband, I hadn't gotten married. You had already been married, I think, God, I don't know how many years, to Michael. And you seemed happy, and you had one kid and a house and a car and a husband who had a job. You already had all of those things. So I don't know if you remember, Mom was on me about hurry up and take a husband. You're now like 33 and we don't know if you like women or men or what we're doing over there because you're not married. You remember that whole phase that the family went through?
Yes, but strictly because I'm the younger and did that all first.
Backwards, right. So I sat down and I made a list of what I wanted in my husband if I was going to take one, as I say. I know I took a husband. I didn't need a husband. I took a husband. So I made this list And in the list, I had tattooed, pierced, likes to have fun, doesn't care about money. If he has kids, they're already older. I don't want any young kids. I don't want somebody who owns property because I don't want to have to move to Michigan or Illinois or Ohio or whatever godforsaken town they're from that I don't want to go to. I wanted somebody that was free. And if you remember, my husband's tattooed, pierced. He's a musician in a band, doesn't own property, had a 16-year-old when I met him. And we all know he doesn't care about money, he cares about fun. So I made a very specific list of what I wanted, and I focused on that list, even down to height, type of personality, everything I wanted was on that list. Now, I wish I would have put some other things on there, and less about not wanting money, but that's what I got. So when I'm working with clients, getting clear on their message is the hardest part about manifestation. What do you find hard about that?
Well, I think it can be difficult to really hone in on, are they really are they really trying to pick something about what they want based on a preconceived belief that was given to them from someone else? This is the way it's supposed to be, therefore this is what I should want. Are they truly deciding for themselves? Are they following somebody else's dream? Are they, um, like you said, are they looking for the genie in the bottle, where then they're going, you know what, I really don't even believe it, so I might as well go for broke and pick something so unattainable that then I can turn around and say, see, that didn't happen. And I knew it wouldn't because there's already a preconceived notion.
So that's two different things. So the first one is, I can't attain this because society says I should do something else. So, for example, I'm 33, I'm not married, I don't have kids, right? Society says, what is wrong with you? You're 33, unmarried, with no kids. You're either a lesbian and don't want to talk about it, or something's really damaged with you that men don't like you. In my case, it was neither. I just wanted to be the executive, I wanted to be the business person. I didn't want to be bothered with getting married and all that. And when you're, in your 30s and you're dating men, the first thing they ask you is, do you want kids? Well, I said no. And that gets rid of 3/4 of the dating pool. And then they ask questions, women cook, clean, do the laundry. So every date I went on, I would say, before we even have food, we're just going to order coffee. And every date I would start off with, if you're looking for a traditional relationship where the woman has babies, cooks, cleans, and does the laundry, I am not your girl. I'm not. So I'm not what you want. So a lot of dates ended right there with a cup of coffee with, okay, thanks. I'm so glad you're honest. So you get tired of it because that's the stereotype. This is what I'm supposed to do. And I'm going to tell you a little story. It's kind of funny. People ask me about my husband and I, how did we end up together? And when we sat down to have coffee, because there's a backstory on how we met, but we sat down to have a cup of coffee. And I said to him, before you even say a word, I don't cook, I don't clean, I don't do laundry, and I don't want kids. And he said, okay, well, what do you do? And I said, I fuck and I make money. That's what I do. And don't roll your eyes at me. I see your eye roll at me, but that is the conversation we had sitting there.
I just knew it was coming because I've heard the story before.
But we have to share with our listeners how this, because this is my personality. I cuss like a sailor. I am not your typical female, right? Women aren't supposed to cuss. Women are supposed to be ladies. But anyway, I digress. So we're sitting there and I say, basically, I fuck and I make money. And he goes, marry me. And I said, why? And he says, I'm a touring musician. I like to cook. He used to be a short order cook. I like to clean. I like to do the laundry. And I don't want to work. I want to lay by the pool while you work and be the breadwinner. And I said, wow, maybe I found my match, because that's such an opposite of what society says we should do, right? You either become a stay-at-home mom, you raise the kids like you're doing with yours, you have an expectation. Your husband has an expectation to come home to dinner, a clean house, and children hopefully dressed and not tearing each other's head off. Correct me if I'm wrong. What?
Most days, everybody's dressed.
Everybody has pants on today. Nobody killed anybody. That is a positive day in the life of a mom, right?
Hmm.
Okay, I couldn't do that. If I had to be a stay-at-home mom, I would sit there and eat bonbons all day, and he would come home. My kids would be dirty. My kitchen would be dirty. Laundry wouldn't be done. Food wouldn't be cooked. And if they hadn't killed each other, we'd have a good day. But the stereotype says I should do that. So that's the first thing. A lot of times we don't know what we want because we were told what we want. So what did your mother say growing up, which is also my mother? What did she say to us growing up? This is what you need to do.
Well, there was no advice from our mother, but it was more, this is just what I assumed I was supposed to do. From an early age, I knew I wanted to be a mom before anything else. Then it came, I wanted to carry a briefcase and wear business power suits and go to a big corporation company, kind of like Heather Locklear on Melrose Place. And I did that and hated it, absolutely hated it, and knew I didn't want to be in the corporate world for my life. So, it's just the things that I personally, and there's not one right or one wrong, it's just traditionally speaking, I always knew I wanted to be a mom before anything else.
It's funny because I remember that period of your life where you're like, I'm going to get all dressed up and I'm going to go sit in an office and I'm going to carry a briefcase. And I'm sitting there in like workout shorts with my hair up sideways going, I couldn't do that if you paid me. And you're like, this is amazing. And then I remember you saying, I hate this because it's the commute, right?
It's the commute, it's the environment, it's the everybody climbing over everybody to be number one at the top of the top of the food chain. Everybody's waving their arms to the CEO, see me, see me, see me. And there's no camaraderie and business family kind of environment below the surface. It all looks great on the surface, but you dig deep and it's not. It's
It's
cutthroat.
like junior high and high school all over again.
Yeah.
The cool kids versus the non-cool kids.
Hmm.
That's why I can't work for anybody. I don't play well in the sandbox. Unless I'm the CEO running the company, I don't have time for that corporate crap behind the scenes. I just don't have the personality for it. So when I was 14, I don't know if you remember, I said I wanted to work anywhere with a phone and a laptop as my job. And that was before we even had internet. I just knew I wanted to be mobile. No office. I didn't want to come to work in dress clothes. And I'm known to wear my gym clothes all the time, right? People think I own a training company because I'm always in workout gear. But I knew what I wanted at 14. I didn't know what exactly I wanted to do. I just knew I needed to be mobile. I needed to be able to access my job from my sofa or from an airplane or sitting by the pool, which I do frequently. I didn't want to be stuck in an office and I didn't want to be stuck in a building or a schedule.
Hmm.
This is where people go wrong. They don't know what they want because mom and dad said, you need to do this. You need to be an attorney. You need to be a doctor. You need to be a mom. You should be happy with this job. You should be happy with the husband, And we judge things based upon society's criteria. Like, well, okay, your husband goes to work. He doesn't have an addiction and he puts food on the table and he doesn't beat you. Oh, he's a great husband. That's the whole criteria that we judge people against, versus he's going out there and doing something off the wall, you know, like my husband applied for the donut maker for Dodge's job. We'll find out if he gets it in a couple weeks. We'll find out if he's top 10. Completely off the wall. Most people would never have done it because it's so out there. But he's an entertainer. To him, that's second nature. To me, it's like, oh, I don't enter contests. I want to judge the contest, not enter the contest. It's a different mentality. But if we look at what we're told, this goes back to the second part of what you said in the beginning, we look at what we're told, we follow that narrative, and we don't like it, but we don't know how to get out of it because we're too far in it.
Hmm.
Especially when you get married and have kids and go, I don't even like the person I'm married to, but I have kids, so I'm going to stay with it. When I have clients who tell me that, I say, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And they're like, well, what do you mean? The kids know you don't like each other. They know that you can't stand each other. You pretend they don't know. They know. Staying together for your kids does not guarantee two mentally fit adults. It actually screws them up more than, changing the narrative. So when we're talking about abundance, you have to be clear on what you want and not murky. Because if you're murky, you're going to get the murky response.
Okay. All right. So, we decide what we want. Where do we go next? What happens next?
Well, deciding what you want is the first step. The second step is writing it down on paper. Because if you see it, you can visualize it. If it's in your head, it's just swirling around. Get it on paper.
So this is Post-it notes on the mirror,
Yep.
on the car dashboard, things everywhere I'm going to look, at the refrigerator, on the milk carton, anything that's going to be in my face that I use over and over again.
Exactly. So when Tim went to interview for the Eric Sardinas job, which is Eric Sardinas, a big motor out of Laguna Beach, he said, they're replacing me with the guy that was a drummer for a major famous rock band. And he goes, this guy has played with everybody, major famous. So I said, put it down on paper. We wrote down that he's going to get the job and how much he's going to make. We put it all over the house. We put papers in the car. There was a paper in his wallet. Everywhere he went, he saw the message. Sure enough, they called. They interviewed 5 people. So he flew out and he interviewed with them and got the phone call. We're going to hire you. Now, you only have 2 weeks to learn all the music, which is a lot of, real short window. But not only that, we're going to give you this amount of money. And it was the exact amount of money on the piece of paper. So not only did we decide what we wanted, we wrote it down. That brings us to number 3. We focused on it. Mm-hmm. You have to focus on what you want. You can't go, okay, I want a Maserati, and then go weed the garden and forget about it. You have to have a picture of the Maserati on your vision board. You have to think about it. You have to talk about it. You have to imagine yourself driving the Maserati. You have to imagine yourself top down, wind in your hair, going 120 up the highway. Focus on it, which is number 3, to get what you want.
This reminds me of a famous story from Jim Carrey. You've probably heard this one, where he says that he wrote down, I think it was either $1 million or 10, I think it was 10 million, and he wrote himself a check and he carried it in his wallet for like 20 years, always knowing that at some point he had that coming. So it's more about the I have, I own, I have, I am, versus the I'm going to get, or this is what is coming in the future, right? It's like seeing that you already have it, that it's already yours.
Exactly, and speaking it into existence. You speak it like you already have it. If you act like you already have it, you will have it. Now, the one catch to this is, again, if you're a barista making $30,000 a year, you can't go, I want an Aston Martin.
Right.
A $500,000 car with no action step to get there other than serving coffee. You have to have an action step, which is number 5 when we get there. But number 3 is focusing on what you want. Know what you want, number 1. Write it down, number 2. 3, focus on it. 4 is no negative thoughts, because no matter what you want, there will be a poo-poo person. I call them poo-poo people, where they say, you can't do that. That's too hard. You don't need that. Why do that?
You couldn't want that, or that's not what's expected of you.
We don't have money for that. There's no money for that. Everything is poo-pooed instead of, oh, that's an interesting idea, comma, how are you going to get it? Instead of that question, which is the question people should ask, it's an instant, you can't do that. Yeah. No one can do that. So my husband entered this donut maker contest, and it was a poo-poo. Oh, you're not going to get that. I'm sure there's 100,000 other people doing videos and entering the contest to go up against. It's automatically negative instead of you already have it. You've got the 1 in 10 shot. You already have it. So that's huge. The negativity is going to come at you because it's people. And this is my motto. Never take advice for somebody telling you what to do when they've never done it. People will tell you you can't do it. Those are the people working 9 to 5. Those are the people making no money. Those are the people unhappy because they don't want you to be happy, because if you're happy, you just set the bar higher.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have to move their bar up. So it's easier for them to be miserable and not have action than it is for them to match you. So when I first started my fitness company, my $1 million company, I was told you can't do that. You cannot start an online fitness company with no office, sitting on your floor with a computer, with no money in your bank account. I literally had $30 and make money sending trainers into homes.
Wasn't your
First,
desk like a Rubbermaid bin? Wasn't that
it
your
was.
first desk?
I flipped it over and put my computer on it, big old clunky computer from Walmart, and we marketed. And this is right back when Google started. And the first year we made 150, the second year we made 300, the third year we made 1.4 million. And it started there. And it was all about watch me. And everyone around me said, you can't do it. And I had to get rid of those friends because they would drag me down, completely drag me down. So that this negative portion, you're going to lose friends, you're going to lose people, you're going to lose family. I mean, I don't know what your mother told you, but growing up, my mother, our mother, told me you should get a job at the you should get a job at the mall and you should marry the local high school boy. And I said, I don't want to marry the local high school boy who dropped out of high school. And I don't want to get a job at the mall. I don't have customer service skill. I'm not warm and fuzzy. I'm not friendly. You don't want me serving your food in a restaurant. Trust me. That's not me. And she said, why are you not happy with that? Because she was. Her idea of happiness was my idea of a prison. So had I followed her route, I would be married to the local high school boy, miserable, living 2 doors down from mom with 2 kids I probably hate because they sucked the life out of me. So I went a different route. I had to separate myself from that. And I left the area. So that's going to happen for you. It has to happen for you to manifest your dreams. If people around you are negative, they have to go. I don't care who they are. They got to go.
Okay.
Which brings me to number 5, action step. You
and I
cannot.
think this is the one that people stop before they get to. When people think law of attraction, I think they stop before they get to the action step. They just assume if they thought it, it's supposed to come. So I'm anxious to hear this part because I think this is where people, they quit too soon. They just assume it's, let me throw it out there and then sit back, and not do anything for it.
That, and they do a little bit and they go, oh, it didn't work. So for example, this is my 6th company. I've lost one in the economic downturn. That was the $1 million company. I've sold one at a profit and I've walked away for a few others that just weren't what I wanted. The problem is people don't do ebb and flow. Businesses ebb and flow. Life ebbs and flows. You have to have negative to have positive. You have to have night to have day. You have to have rain to have flowers. People don't look at it that way. They expect, okay, I decided I want to create a coaching company and I want to make 6 figures because some lady on Facebook told me I can do it. And for $2,000, she's going to teach me how to do it. So I'm now decided I'm going to do this. So they take the class, they get all the information from the lady for $2,000. They put their website up, they put an ad up, they put a big thing on Facebook, hey, I'm a coach, I'm open for business. Then they sit at their desk and wait for the phone to ring. Mm-hmm. Phone doesn't ring. And they get pissed off and they get frustrated and they go back to the lady who took their $2,000 and say, your course was crap. Didn't work. First thing I ask is, well, what else did you do? Mm-hmm. And they say, what do you mean? What else did you do? I don't know. I put the Facebook up, I put the LinkedIn up, the phone didn't ring. And I say, how many cold calls did you make? 0. How many outbound emails did you send? 0. How much actual marketing did you do? 0. And they say, well, I didn't have money for that. That blows my mind. I'm always like, marketing costs money. Getting clients costs money. Pitbull always said that. Scared money don't make money. It's right. I started this company with $300. I got my first client at $2,500 and I took that and put it back into my company and spent more money. You have to spend money to make money. When I hired a PR firm, I had her for 4 years at $35K a year. It wasn't cheap. People are like, oh my God, you spent that much money. Yes, you have to build your brand. You have to build your authority. You have to grow within yourself. So when you come up to the action phase, it's going to be money, blood, sweat, tears. It's going to be stuff, you know? If you want to own a gardening company, you want to own a landscaping company, you can't just put up a web page. You have to take your business card, go door to door, knock on doors. You may have to do a few cheap or low cost gigs to get photos for your website. Action phase is where people go wrong because they don't do it, or they do it for a week and go, oh my God, it didn't work. So I have a friend I went to high school with. I don't know if she listens to this or not. She's been talking about for 4 years doing an online training course. And you know, I teach online courses. I have the largest company in the world for addiction online courses. Just where it is. It's grown in 10 years. I started with 2 courses and I grew. She has 1 course, and she's been talking about this course for 4 years. No, 5 years now. No, 6 years now. It's 2016. 6 years for this online course. She studied from these people. She's paid these people money. She paid a website guy money. She paid a marketing guy money. She paid an SEO guy money. Here she is ready to launch this course. Took her 6 years to write it. She puts it on Facebook for 2 weeks and then quits and gets a job. And I said, I don't understand. You spent 6 years creating this course and in 2 weeks decided you couldn't sell it. And she said, well, I spent too much money on Facebook ads. I said, how much did you spend? She said, $400. I said, $400 in 2 weeks is a lot, number one, but you need to spend to make. What's your ad spend? You know, what's your budget? She goes, I don't have one. I said, what do you mean you don't have a budget? She goes, well, I don't have any clients. I said, you spent 6 years creating a course and 2 weeks marketing it. That's backwards. That's backwards. And she went to work full time, happy as a lark. So this is where your dream collapses because she didn't put emphasis on action. She didn't send out any emails, cold calls, go to a networking event that was free. She did none of it. She expected to put this course on Facebook and sell it instantly for $6,000 a head. And it didn't work. That's why this stuff failed. She didn't tweak it. She didn't figure it out. There was no other action other than, okay, it didn't work, so I'm going to get a job. But for 6 years, she didn't have a job because she was building this course. See the faulty thinking?
Yes. Then you have to wonder also, was that the dream to begin with? Was that really what, when you go all the way back to 1, decide what you want, was that the right thing she wanted?
That's a great question. And the answer to that is no, I don't think so.
So it all comes full circle depending on how much you're willing to put into the action at the end. Did you start with the right question? Did you start with the right thing?
Is this really what you want?
Right.
Right. And also, it's a timing thing. It took her 6 years to do a video course. Had she had it 6 years ago, it would have gone gangbusters. But the market now for video classes since COVID is skyrocketed. Everybody does a video class. Everybody wants to watch something from home. Everybody wants to consume material. They don't want to go to a live class anymore. They don't want to do a webinar. They want to see the video in their leisure. 6 years ago, she would have had the market share. So yeah, that's exactly what it is. Decide what you want, write it down, focus on it, keep out negative thoughts, and make an action plan. Then you will manifest anything you want.
Fantastic. I often
Easy
manifest
enough.
myself a front parking spot when I go to the mall.
Try that at Christmas. That's when you know your powers of manifestation are good.
That's right. That's right. I think I know we talked. You said you mentioned at the very beginning that we weren't going into, religion or anything specific like that. And I think it can. And you mentioned it's spiritual. I think it can be dialed down even further, just to energy. I think it's all the energy vibration level of where you feel you fit into, of what you think you deserve, going back to that belief system, what you really, when you dial in and are focused on what you really want and how you're going to get it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that's a big part of where people miss the mark It's figure it out, hone it down, one thing at a time. Because people sometimes say, oh, I want to be married. I want 2 kids. I want a house. I want a dog. I want this job. And it's like universe goes, whoa,
Right.
you're living at home. You're
Mhm.
not working. Like pick one, start there, get it, and then add, and then add, and then add, and then add, and just keep growing. You can't come out the gate with 900 things that I want because you don't have an action plan to be in 900 different places. You have to do one thing at a time, one place at a time, one focus at a time. So, and it can be anything. When we went house hunting in the middle of COVID, I said, we're not going to get a house. Everything we want is out of budget. I need a house with a mother-in-law suite. I want an in-ground hot tub and an in-ground pool, and I want it totally secluded. That's a big ask. And then
Mhm.
my husband said, I want to be on the beach. Big ask. And every house we looked at was a dump for the price. And I'm like, junk. One had a roof falling in. Like literally, we walked in and the roof was in the living room. And the realtor goes, just walk over that. And I said, are they fixing this? She said, no, as is. I'm like, how much is the property? She goes, $1 million. I'm like, there's no roof. No roof.
Yeah.
We're going to get $1 million. I'm like, out. Okay. So we sat down and we made a list of everything we wanted in the house, price point, and the house we saw was a little bit above our price point. And I said, okay, now we really got to focus because this is
Mhm.
$100,000 out of my price range, not just a little, it's $100,000. So we sat down, focused on it, focused on making money, how we were going to structure it because it's 20% down. What's this going to look like? And as we're focusing on it, we were getting denial after denial after denial because I'm self-employed. So people don't want to lend to self-employed. Sure, you have 20% to put down. That's great. But we want to see your W-2, which is stupid to me. I've got 10 years of business history of, money making, but they want to see this W-2 that I worked for Bob and made 60 grand. That's what they wanted.
Mhm.
So, forget the fact I have a multi-million-dollar company. We're not interested in that. We want to see that you work for Bob for 2 years at 60 grand. So finally found a good lender and we got the house. And it's one of those things that everyone looks at that's financial and goes, there's no way you should have gotten that. There's no way this could have happened. It's all law of attraction.
Right.
Put this in play, put that in play, put this in play, make it happen.
Mhm.
So that is how to do it. I think we're going to podcast more on, different little nuances of extra things you can do. But this is just a quick 5-step process that you can start, put into play, and get rolling.
Yep. So get thinking on what it is you really want.
And get clear on your message.
Yep.
And we'll cover this more in future podcasts, but we are out of time. So have a great day and unpause your life.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Unpause Your Life with Dr. Cali Estes and Master Coach Jenny Fontana. Head over to www.thelifecoachmethod.com to learn more about coaching yourself and how to become a master coach.